Stay one step ahead with Dubai Eye.
Good morning. It is now 8 minutes past 7. You're listening to the Business Breakfast. Malcolm Taylor and Richard Dean. Brandy Scott will be back tomorrow. And we are talking now about one of the drivers of tourism into the UAE and mainstays of the Dubai economy as we look at retail with Patrick Bousquet-Chavanne, the CEO of Emaar Malls. Good morning. Thanks for coming into the studio.
Good morning. Pleasure to be here.
And despite all the talk of malls being up against it with online channels growing in the UAE, as they are elsewhere in the world, Emaar Malls profits grew by 8% in the first half of the year. What did you do differently, or what did Emaar Malls, I know you're new, but what did Emaar Malls do differently to achieve that 8%?
I think we have a very unique position at the heart of the Dubai economy, and the quality of the assets that are within the Emaar Malls company is just outstanding. Obviously, the most iconic being the Dubai Mall itself, and is positioned as the center of gravity of Dubai downtown, right next to the Burj Khalifa, as an attraction power that resonates all around the globe. And therefore, the dual drivers, I would say, of the companies today have been the strengths of the tourism that keeps coming to Dubai, even though I think we've seen some softer numbers in recent periods, as well as the strengths of the local consumer base that keeps basically visiting our malls.
Well, talking about sort of lower numbers coming in, and we hear stories about people losing jobs. A lot of people are still bullish, saying the numbers are rising, but are these numbers the sort of people that would go and shop in a Dubai mall or an Emaar mall? So do you feel that it's a challenged sector at the moment?
I think we've seen some softness in the retail sector in general throughout the region, and Dubai, I think, has been affected as well. If you look back in the last 18 months period, I think there are different dynamics behind that. Number one is the transformation of the type of tourists which are coming to Dubai, and with greater numbers, you don't always get the same profiles.
So do you mean people, those tourists that perhaps come in and don't spend as much as the sort of tourists we've had before?
Yeah, I mean, we have a very high conversion as an economy from tourism into retail, and those are the two key economic drivers, as you were saying. But there are different flows, and we see more Chinese, for example, coming up. Chinese, 6% of the population used to have visas. We're going to get to 10 and 12% very, very closely, coming from very different cities in China as well. The spend per head is not always basically at the same level as we have seen historically. So I think we're monitoring very, very closely the overall capacity of visitors, local as well as international, to spend in the local economy.
You said that there were sort of three drivers there. That was one of them. What were the other drivers?
So the other drivers basically is the progress of online, which has been pretty rapid. And we're finally getting some pretty accurate numbers in terms of the growth of the online channels in Dubai and the UAE in general. And not unlike what we have seen in other parts of the world, Western Europe or the US, online is growing at about a 30% rate, which I think is also a very healthy driver of the overall retail economy in itself. But we do obviously see some impact within the economy on the traditional retail aspect.
We had your chairman in the studio on Sunday, Mohammed Alabar, His Excellency, and he said that malls have to try even harder now to keep ahead and give shoppers good reasons to come into the malls. But given that there are budgetary limitations, physical restrictions, perhaps even limits to the imagination on how far you can go with things in a shopping mall, in a race to make them compelling go-to destinations, how far can you go?
I don't subscribe to the fact that there are limits to imagination and creativity. And if you look back on the last 10 years, I mean, we're celebrating 10 years of the Dubai Mall, which is a pretty pivotal moment. This is a very iconic destination in terms of what it offers for the local and international customer base. And it's been transforming itself over the last 10 years. I mean, the opening of Fashion Avenue extension this year, 130,000 of incremental GLA. So you have to keep it fresh, current, modern, and most importantly, attractive, and meeting the consumer needs in terms of entertainment, food, as well as obviously other product categories.
You mentioned the sort of move to online shopping there, and obviously retailers themselves can fight back. They can put up their online offering, but malls can't really do that as much. By definition, you're a physical space. I mean, how do you cope with that move to online?
Well, number one, we have within the company that I'm in charge of a digital pure play called namshi.com, which is one of the fastest growing online fashion websites today. So we have within the portfolio a digital entry. Within the mall itself, I mean, we are just launching this week an interactive digital app that will allow consumers to have better experiences with parking, for example. So I think there are ways of making the service proposition a very convenient, easy one for the customer to complement their physical journeys in the mall.
In terms of Namshi, it's something that Emaar Malls bought a big stake in, a controlling stake in a year or two ago. It's a pure play online retailer. One of your most recent jobs was at Marks and Spencer, based out of the United Kingdom, heading their digital transformation strategy. I can get how a retail brand like Marks and Spencer would go digital. You sell Marks and Spencer's shirts, whatever it is, online. But for a shopping mall, to have Emaar Malls, to have a brand like Namshi, how does that integration work without confusing the customer?
I don't think it's confusing the customer. First of all, they are not integrated. Those are two different entities within the Emaar Malls company. One being a digital pure play and the other one, call it today, a physical pure play with very different, basically, audiences. Namshi has about 600 brands today catering to a fashion, trendy customer, younger profile as well. So I think we see that as a complement to our strategy overall. I will, over the next, basically, several months, indicate what, if any, potential synergies we see happening between the two companies. But, Mall have got to transform themselves. And the next 10 years for Dubai Mall will be a commitment to what I call an enduring, iconic status and strategy. When you have an asset of that quality that reverberates globally around the world, I mean, there's not a single place for people where you travel that people don't know about the Dubai Mall.
How many more malls do you think Dubai can take?
I think Dubai has if you project yourself over the next 5 years, 5 to 10 years, there's obviously more capacity coming in. I mean, we are building as we speak, the Dubai Hills Mall that will be opening late in 2019, which will be a larger community mall to service, the southern part of Dubai, with again a differentiated proposition. So, and then we have coming in later on over the next 5 years, Dubai Square on the creek. So Dubai actually, like in real estate, has seen a very rapid expansion over the next 10 years. I believe that tourism will get to 100 million visitors. Today we have passed for 4 consecutive years 80 million visitors on the Dubai Mall. So it is not unlikely and probably very likely that we'll see within the next 3 years that 100 million magical number passed, hopefully right around or after the Expo 2020.
Patrick, one of the things that we hear from retailers who sit in that chair where you are now is they want shopping malls in general to reduce the rents or to be more flexible in rents, given that we're in a fairly weak moment for retail. Whether it's you or whether it's Majid Al Futtaim, you're the two big mall operators here, but others as well. How are you going to balance that? The need to keep your customers happy by being flexible, and yet the need to satisfy your shareholders, you're a listed company, who want revenue growth from Emaar Malls.
My vision is that it's got to be a partnership. A great lifestyle and leisure destination that we have relies upon a very close collaboration every day with our tenants and our global brands, local and international. Our primary role is to deliver great traffic to those tenants, to the mall, and most importantly, to deliver a proposition to our consumers that is really attractive so they come back more frequently. Traffic will be up this year at the Dubai Mall, and therefore I think that we are, across the product categories, want to make sure that we are delivering sales increases.
One last question about the Emaar Hills Mall that is coming up, and the whole site looks absolutely massive. The mall itself, how big is that going to be compared to, say, Dubai Mall?
So obviously, if you can put into context, Dubai Mall is about 1,300 stores today. We'll get around 500 stores in Dubai Hills. So still a reasonably sizable mall, but the mix inside will be different. Amazing entertainment, amazing food, fashion as well.
One of the things that Dubai traditionally has done really well in the 20 years that Malcolm and I have lived here, and you've been visiting Dubai on and off for about 20 years, it's been a hub for regional shopping. Kuwaitis have come here, Saudis have come here, Indians have come here. And 20 years ago, that was partly because they didn't have particularly good shopping malls in their own cities. But now they do. I was at the Middle East Council of Shopping Centres Awards last night. The big award winners were malls in Saudi Arabia, in Jeddah and Riyadh. Up in Kuwait, that mall was winning all kinds of awards. Abu Dhabi are building fantastic malls at the moment. What impact will that have? These have traditionally been key source markets for the super regional malls in Dubai, now that they have great malls on their doorstep.
So I'm looking at 2.5 billion people living in the proximity of Dubai. And we are the epicenter, the destination, and the close relationship between tourism and retail. As long as we keep reinventing retail and pushing our creativity, we talked about it a moment ago, Dubai and the Dubai Mall will be successful. My primary mission is to keep that asset relevant forever. And, look at the number of firsts we have had this year. First in the Middle East, first to Dubai, the Virgin Megastore, 25,000 square feet. We just opened an amazing West Coast USA, California-based brand called American Rag. 8,000 square feet. The only Nike town about to open in the Middle East, 32,000 square feet, with amazing experiences within each one of those stores, which are really compelling, very democratic, appealing to family and large scale, different generations. And that's what the life of the mall will be. What we're about to do this month in terms of the celebration of an anniversary, with amazing entertainment happening every day in the mall. So it's got to be a living and breathing organism. Dubai Mall for me is Dubai downtown. It's a city. It is not just a mall.
Well, Patrick, your thoughts well received on the Business Breakfast. Thank you for those. Patrick Bousquet-Chavanne, the new CEO of Emaar Malls. We really appreciate your time this morning. Hope to have you back soon.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Stay one step ahead with Dubai Eye.